Hare Krishna. Welcome to Nectar Instructions, Text 7. Let us repeat the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. After me. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. When Sri Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Sabdharma Samstapako. Nana Shastra Vicharane Kanipuno Sabdharma Samstapako. Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanyakaro. Lokanam Hitakarino Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko. Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko. Vande Rupa Sanatano Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. Shri Jiva Gopalako. Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my respectful obeisance unto the six Goswamis, namely Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatt Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, and Shri Gopal Bhatt Goswami, who are very expert in scrutinizing, studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Radha and Krishna. So, just a brief outline, just to recap where we currently at, because we're at text 7. So, we covered in the first verse, we covered this slide where we described the breakdown. Text 1 to 11 can be broken down in different ways. So the first way we can break down text 1 to 7 is in terms of the symptoms of self-control, then external behavior and devotional practices, and 5, 6, and 7, 8 is internal development and vision. So here we are text 7, which is going to be describing internal development. Okay. Then in terms of this section from human life to Radhakun, text 7 and 8 is going to be discussing absorption in Sri Krishna. Okay, so we started with self-mastery, dealing with yourself, then dealing with others and the society, and now dealing with Krishna. Okay, so first manage yourself, then learn to manage others, and then you can start developing a relationship with Krishna. And then in terms of this section, text 1 to 7 is covering sadhana bhakti, devotional practice. And we can see even from here, text 7 is covering bhajana kriya. So right now, we are in the middle of devotional practice, or we're going to be focusing on devotional practice and specifically internal development. What and how does a devotee actually connect himself to Krishna, absorb himself in Krishna, and practices Krishna consciousness, the essence of that. So text 7 can repeat after me. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya.
Krishna Nama Charitadi
Pito Patapta Rasanasya Narochikanu. Kintwa Darad Anudinam Kaloseva Justa. Swadvikramat Bhavatita Gadamula Handri. Okay, let's try again. Syat Krishna Nama Charitadi Sitapya Vidya. Pito Patatta Rasanasya Narochikanu. Kintva Darat Anudinam Kalusaiva Justa. Swadvikramat Bhavati Tat Galamula Hantri. The holy name, character, pastimes, and activities of Krishna are all transcendently sweet like sugar candy. Although the tongue of one afflicted by the jaundice of avidya, ignorance, cannot taste anything sweet, it is wonderful that simply by carefully chanting these sweet names every day, a natural relish awakens within his tongue, and his disease is gradually destroyed at root. So text 7 and text 8, specifically text 8, which we'll cover next week, is describing that these two verses, and specifically text 8, which is talking about the essence of all advice, essence of all instructions, which is to remember Krishna 24 hours a day. And this first verse of this two set of verses is describing the nature of the holy name of Krishna, the pastimes of Krishna, and activities of Krishna, and also our relationship with those names, characters, pastimes, etc. And also is giving a very wonderful analogy. And Prabhupada's purport to these two verses are very, very important. So we're going to try to go extensively into those purports. Prabhupada basically summarizes the purport. First, Prabhupada describes our disease state. And you'll see it's very connected to the disease that's described, which is jaundice. Okay, so we are jaundiced. And here specifically, the jaundice is ignorance, avidya. Ignorance of ourselves, ignorance of our identity, ignorance of Krishna, ignorance of our relationship, ignorance of spiritual practice. So because of that ignorance, we are diseased. And then Srila Prabhupada, after describing our disease state and what we experience in the disease state, then Srila Prabhupada describes the cause of the disease, which is individual, ourselves, as well as collective. Okay, so there's an individual cause and then there's a collective cause. And then Srila Prabhupada describes the cure. And finally, then Prabhupada describes the healthy state. What happens when you're freed from this jaundice. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada in the first paragraph says, the holy name of Lord Krishna, his qualities, pastimes, and so forth, are all of the nature of absolute truth, beauty, and bliss. So very nice Prabhupada is making the point that the qualities, the pastimes of Krishna, the holy name of Krishna is absolute truth, which means it's non-different from Krishna. But here Prabhupada adds, generally he could have just stopped here and said it's the nature of absolute truth, which means it's non-different from Krishna. But Srila Prabhupada puts another adjective, beauty. And we find, like, for example, is this picture beautiful? Is that beautiful? So, you look at some pages, oh, so beautiful. Now just consider if the picture is beautiful. What to talk about the actual pastimes and personalities in these pictures. So, and Prabhupada said these are windows to the spiritual. So it's giving us a glimpse of the beauty. And we all attracted to beauty in the material world in different ways. So it's wonderful that Prabhupada puts this point, this adjective, beauty, that we should become attracted to this beauty. If we're becoming attracted to the other beauty in the material world, then that's the cause of ignorance or avidya, jaundice-like state. And then bliss. They're all sweet, they're all blissful, it's full of ananda. Naturally, they are very sweet, like sugar candy, which appeals to everyone. Sometimes people ask they ask the question or they present an argument, how come I'm not attracted to Krishna? Now, we can say that for some other personalities that are, maybe ugly or they don't really look beautiful. But then generally Krishna, for many people, is very attractive. But for those who are diseased, then naturally Krishna is not attractive. What about Krishna not attractive? Krishna's names are not attractive. Anything related to Krishna is not attractive. And it's not the fault of Krishna or his pastimes or his qualities. It's our fault. Just like the example is given, the sun's always there. So if one is in darkness, it's not the fault of the sun. It's your fault that you are trying to avoid the sunshine. So naturally, these aspects of Krishna's qualities, name, pastimes are sweet like sugar candy. Have you ever tasted sugar that's salty or bitter or sour? I don't even know if sugar goes off. You leave sugar, it's okay. After some time, let's see if it goes off and how it tastes, but you don't find sugar going off. Okay, so sugar never goes off. Its nature is always sweet. So these aspects, specifically in relation to Krishna, Krishna's name, qualities, pastimes, are always sweet, and it appeals to everyone. Nishan, however, is compared to the disease called jaundice, which is caused by bilious secretions. Attacked by jaundice, the tongue of a diseased person cannot palatably relish sugar candy. Rather, a person with jaundice considers something sweet to taste very bitter. Any of you had jaundice? So you can't really speak from realization. You can't say, yes, this is true. You just have to accept. So from Ayurvedic perspective, this is true. And at least I had some limited experience when I was in India and I had jaundice, and then this was the case. Never mind, it's what to talk about, butter, you can't even have, it's like you had to have baked potatoes with no oil. No, you can't have any oil because obviously the liver is affected. So any even a teeny weeny little oil will aggravate it more, and your whole body becomes. In fact, the bile gets secreted into the blood, and it starts to come out from your pores, and that's why your whole body and whatever your clothes start to become yellowish. And I was, I didn't really recognize. I was walking, and one devotee looked at me in the eyes and says, "You're yellow. You got jaundice." That's how I picked it up. So this is true. If you take anything sweet, especially sugar candy, which is the cure for jaundice. Generally in India, they give sugarcane juice, right? But you can also have sugar candy, white candy, like rock candy. So that's generally what they take to get cured. I actually went to call him an alternative healer. He was an Ayurvedic healer. He made some Ayurvedic medicines, but specifically he Generally, when you have jaundice, you have to be hospitalized so that they drain your blood to take the bile out, because your blood is getting poisoned now, and if you don't treat it, you can get hepatitis. Uh, I think it's A, B, or C, different levels of hepatitis, and you can die. So it's a dangerous disease if it's not cured. So when the devotees told me, in India hospitals, you get more sick if you go to a hospital. So we didn't want to go there. So then they told us, why don't you go see this Prem Saki? So we went, and Sham Saki, and he actually healed me by just extracting the bile. What mantra? We would chant a mantra, extract the bile, and then we would rinse it. Okay, so that's how I got healed by his mercy. But this is true. Avidya, ignorance, similarly perverts the ability to relish the transcendently palatable name, quality, form, pastimes of Krishna. So just as jaundice perverts the taste of sugar candy, similarly, avidya or ignorance perverts the taste of the pastimes, qualities of Krishna. So when we're chanting and we're not experiencing a taste, it's because of our material disease, which here Srila Rupa Goswami is saying sum and substance of that material disease is avidya. Despite this disease, if one with great care and attention takes to Krishna consciousness, chanting the holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes, his ignorance will be destroyed and his tongue enabled to taste the sweetness of transcendental nature of Krishna and his paraphernalia. Such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by regular cultivation of Krishna consciousness. There is two words which are very important in this sentence of Srila Prabhupada. Which two words? Yes, care and attention. Okay, so keep that in mind. We're going to come back to that at the end. Care and attention. So we need to practice the process of Krishna consciousness, specifically chanting his holy name and hearing Krishna's transcendental pastimes with great care and attention. Just like if somebody is diseased, they have to take medication according to the according to the prescription given by the doctor. They can't just take it whimsically. So they have to take it with some care and attention. But I like to give the example, especially the men when they shave every day. Do you just shave without, don't just like quickly, 2 minutes, you're going to shave in 2 minutes. If you shave, especially with a sharp razor, you're very attentive, okay, because you know it can cut. One wrong move and you can cut. So you generally shave, even though it's it's an activity you do every day, but you shave with a lot of care and attention. So similarly, even the process of Krishna consciousness will have to be practiced with care and attention. Otherwise, you're not going to get the desired result. Okay, and then the other aspect is such a recovery of spiritual health is possible only by regular cultivation. It has to be ongoing, it has to be regular, it has to be every day. Like if you have a disease and you have to take the medication 3 times a day, until the dosage is finished. So you have to consistently take the medication. We have to take consistently the medication of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, the disease will not be effectively cured. Then Prabhupada says, when a man in the material world takes more interest in the materialistic way of life than in Krishna consciousness, he is considered to be a diseased condition. So the first paragraph Prabhupada talked about the jaundice-like effect and what it does. Now Prabhupada is going to elaborate a little more about what it means to be diseased. Yeah. Like we may say, oh, I'm Krishna conscious, which means, okay, I'm not diseased. But if you put it the other way, well, what does it mean to be Krishna conscious? What does it mean not to be diseased? Or what does it mean to be diseased? So diseased condition means that you put more emphasis, more interest in material activities, material things, the material world. The normal condition is to remain an eternal servant of the Lord. Jiver Sarupahai Krishna Nitya Das. This healthy condition is lost when the living entity forgets Krishna due to being attracted by the external feature of Krishna's Maya energy. This world of Maya is called Durashraya, which means false or bad shelter. One who puts his faith in Durashraya becomes a candidate for hoping against hope. So the material world and any aspect of the material nature, Maya is Durashraya, it's bad shelter. And here, our Prabhupada is making the point that if you take shelter of Maya or any of Maya's features, then the end result is, because it's Durashraya, it's bad shelter. You get Ashraya, absolute shelter, and Durashraya. Krishna is Ashraya. Taking shelter of Krishna is perfect shelter. And taking shelter of anything but Krishna is Durashraya, means bad shelter. That shelter will always disappoint you. It's like you'll find in the material world, if the government is not, the politicians or the government is not, they're not devotees. They will always, without fail, disappoint the subjects. In the material world, no matter what plan you make, eventually those plans will be disturbed. So in different ways, whatever arrangements we make, the nature of the material world is bad. It's bad shelter. Therefore, you'll find people going to this hope against hope. I hope nothing happens to me. I hope I pass. I hope my family is safe. And no matter what arrangements you make, they can always be danger. Therefore, Prabhupada describes it. That's why a devotee takes shelter of Krishna, because the nature of the material world is very precarious. Precarious means that anything can happen at any time without you even noticing or being aware. In material world, everyone is trying to become happy. And although their material attempts are baffled in every way, due to their ignitions, they cannot understand their mistakes. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. You're trying to rectify a mistake by making another mistake. The example one devotee gave was, there was a true story of a hiker. He was a very expert hiker. And in Hawaii, she decided to go on this hiking trail. And she didn't inform anyone because she was quite confident of her hiking ability. So she went on this hike, and she started this hike. And as she was walking, after a few minutes of walking, she noticed that the trail doesn't seem to be right. She's possibly on a wrong trail. So she was thinking, maybe I should go back. It's like a few minutes back, get back onto the start and see, maybe reroute. But then she thought, no. Anyway, let me. There's enough time. Let me carry on. And while I'm, on my way, I'll be able to possibly find the actual route. So then she carried on, walking for another 3 hours. And after 3 hours, she realized she was totally lost now. She couldn't even get a glimpse of any routes. And she's now in the middle of this forest-like area, and she's totally lost. And the sun was also setting. So now she's thinking, now it's way too late to go back. What should I do? So then she's considering, and she noticed there's like a steep mountain hill. And she said, well, if I can climb the hills, the steep hill, from there I'll be able to see where the trail is and then get back on the trail. But because it was so steep, she knew she cannot take her backpack with up on this hill. So she decided, okay, let me leave my backpack behind. And in her backpack was her water, her food, her clothes, supplies, everything was in a backpack. So she put her backpack down and she tried to climb up the steep hill. Finally, after much effort, she climbed the steep hill to get onto the top. And the sun was already setting and it was getting dark now. And when she reached on the top, she found that it was, like a few, like a meter and a half cliff that on the other end you can practically fall down. So she got stuck on the cliff, can't come down, can't go the other side because she's going to fall. And she was there stuck, basically hope against hope, thinking now what? And luckily for her, the family members, found that she's missing. So then they sent a search party out and eventually she was rescued. But while she was on this cliff, she started to she started to blame Krishna, why did you put me in this situation? I don't have any food, and now I can't even come down. I'm stuck. I didn't tell anyone, Krishna, why did you put me in this situation? So did Krishna put her in a situation? No. Right? She made the mistake of, the first mistake was, right, she didn't tell anyone. Right? Second mistake, she was overconfident in herself and abilities. Third mistake, she didn't take a guide. Fourth mistake, so before that, yeah, she already realized, hold on, I think that this is the wrong route. 3 minutes, she could have gone back, right? So there was a mistake at that point, and she recognized the mistake. But how did she rectify that mistake? By another mistake. I'll just carry on, and I'll possibly find the route. And she got more lost. So there's a bigger mistake. And then how did she try to rectify that bigger mistake? By leaving a backpack and going up, another bigger mistake. So that's what Prabhupada's making the point here. People try to rectify one mistake by making another mistake. And if you try to rectify one mistake by another mistake, you have increased the problem, not rectify the problem. Therefore, no matter what you do along the timeline, the mistake is always a mistake, and the end result is a mistake. Example is given. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 2, 7. 7 plus 2, 9. And now you can carry on adding and subtracting all the answers correctly. But is the end result going to be correct? No, because you made the first mistake. And you didn't rectify that mistake, and it's going to amplify the error. Okay, so our first mistake that we made was to forget Krishna, to separate ourselves from Krishna. Okay? And from that mistake, everything else is basically amplification of that. This is the way of the struggle for existence in the material world. If one in this condition is advised to take to Krishna consciousness and be happy, what does he do? He does not accept such instruction. Like even if somebody told that hiker, no, you should turn back. Because we are so proud of our own abilities, we think, nah, I know, don't worry. So because of false ego, we don't take good advice, and we place ourselves in a dangerous situation. So we should always remember, no matter how good any shelter is, you may get a security company, and the security company will tell you, don't worry, we're like response. We're the best response company in the world, and whenever you're in difficulty, we will be there. You'll only find out when you're in difficulty that they're not there. And it's not like they have solved and they can solve every single situation. Like most often, if you have an response, right? Do they have your gate key to come in? You got your gate key? No? Nobody gives the response the gate keys. we had armed response at a temple. We didn't give them our gate keys. Right? So generally, you don't give your gate keys, because they're armed response. They're meant to help you in danger, right? So they're meant to come in. But how are they going to come when your gate is locked? So that's the first challenge they got. Now, if your gate is high, they'll have to scale your gate. They assume that the burglar has possibly, left it easy for them, open the gate so they can come in. But generally, they don't have access to the gate. So that's the first obstacle they need to overcome. And there may be so many other challenges that are there. In most cases, if you listen to people that have armed response, they'll tell you they were late or they couldn't, help. In some cases where you become lucky, then that's great, Krishna's mercy. But otherwise, in every case, eventually it's Durashraya, bad shelter. And devotee recognizes that. Therefore, not that we don't take shelter of things in the material world. It's not that we foolishly say, okay, having an alarm system is Durashraya. Therefore, don't have alarm system. Locking your doors, that's bad shelter. Don't lock your doors. No. So we still take shelter of these things, but ultimately we realize that depending on these things will always eventually lead one to failure. Even if they can protect you in every situation, you can get a heart attack and die. You can be so shocked that burglar is in your house. Your blood pressure goes up, you get a heart attack, die. Therefore, they are Durashraya. But Krishna, if you get a heart attack and you think of Krishna, Krishna can protect. It's like Srila Prabhupada on Jaladutta, he had 2 heart attacks. Krishna came and massaged his heart and relieved him of his heart attack. Okay, so taking shelter of Krishna is the best alternative. Then Prabhupada talks about, remember now Prabhupada told us the individual cause of our disease. Now Prabhupada is talking here about the collective cause. When such atheists become leaders of society, the entire atmosphere is surcharged by emissions. In such condition, people do not become very enthusiastic to receive this Krishna conscious movement. Just as a diseased person suffering from jaundice does not relish the taste of sugar candy. However, one must note that for jaundice, sugar candy is the only specific medicine. Similarly, in the present confused state of humanity, Krishna consciousness, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, is the only remedy for setting the world right. Although Krishna consciousness may not be very palatable for a diseased person, Srila Rupa Goswami nonetheless advises that if one wants to be cured of the material disease, he must take to it with great care and attention. Prabhupada repeats it again. Second time in the same purport. Prabhupada is repeating care and attention. So here Prabhupada is saying there is only one medication for jaundice, and there's only one medication for putting our disease right and for putting everybody's disease, rectifying everybody's disease, and that is chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And we know Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings glorifying Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this medication, which is in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra. So really taking shelter of the Hare Krishna mantra is the most important activity, because it is the medication for us. And if we realize we're in a dangerous situation, we will take shelter. Just like, let's say the devotee looks, he looked into my eyes and he said, "Oh, you're yellow, I think you got jaundice." Now I couldn't pick it up. So I could have said, I don't care about it, and let it go. And it could be 1 week, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 weeks. Eventually, it can become it would have become critical to the extent that I may not have enough time to recuperate. or to heal myself, because I've let the disease become so grave, so intense that there's no way of curing it. It's like your finger becomes gangrene, and slowly you see, okay, hold on, I think I've got some disease or something not right. My finger, it's rotting, and you think, it's okay. Just put some soap, wash it every day, it should be okay. But if you don't cut that finger, what's going to happen? It's going to start spreading to the other fingers, eventually to your hand, eventually your body, and you'll have to amputate those different limbs. If you just leave it, it's going to disease the whole body. So like that, we have to recognize, firstly, our situation. And Yeshu Rupa Goswami is giving us a measuring stick. Is giving us a way to measure, to test. Am I sick? Do I have high blood pressure? So if I need to answer the question, do I have high blood pressure? What do? Right, I go check myself. Right, so I go to the doctor or buy a blood pressure test, and then I test and say, oh, hold on, my blood pressure is very high. So here Rupa Goswami is giving us a tester. Am I diseased? Am I in a difficult situation? And how do I know that I'm diseased? So how do I know I have the material disease? Attachment to the material world? Yes, but more clearly. Right, you stop chanting, you lose taste for chanting. Your bead bag, so if your bead bag is there in the morning and your cell phone is there, when you get up, you can measure, where does your hand go first? Does it go into the bead bag or does it go immediately to the cell phone? And especially if the cell phone is on, right? And you hear, boop, 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 bzz, bzz. Now your hand becomes itchy. And it's like, even if you pick up the bead bag, for some reason, it's like, okay, maybe the left hand then goes. So like that, we can measure my taste or my attraction to chanting, or my taste and attraction to hearing. If I read something related to Krishna consciousness, generally, one is disease, what happens? You fall off asleep. Okay. Yeah, you're reading and then it becomes a sleeping pill. You fall off asleep. Or you're sitting in class and what happens? You fall off to sleep. But if you're sitting in front of your favorite TV program, yeah. I don't know about you, but I experienced, like, at home when I was years ago, if I had to see a program and let's say the program is at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, late, before the time, is like you're tired, your eyes are drooping, you're tired, you want to fall asleep. As soon as the program comes, something, I don't know what happened to the sleep, it's gone. Right? But if you had to do that the other way around, if you have to have a program or have read something but related to Krishna or see something or take your bead bag, the sleep increases, intensifies. It's like the pillow, the bed, just there's like it just becomes, I need to go and I won't sleep, I'll just sit on the bed. Right? And then you're chanting Hare Krishna, 14 round, Hare Krishna, now it's like lying down, as soon as 16 round comes, you're out. You can't wait to fall off to sleep. So that means disease. Okay, so we can clearly see, okay, I am diseased. Okay, let's say I have taste. I in the morning I get up, I go for my bead bag. I dutifully take my medication, I'm chanting. So it's not like, I can stay awake in class. So let's say now I can stay awake in class, I can go for my beatback, and I can I can dutifully chant every day, and I have never missed a single day of chanting. Am I diseased? Okay, so it could be inattentive chanting. So let's say I'm attentive and I try my best to hear. Am I diseased? How do I know? Okay, so I'm not chanting for 24 hours. So that may be, a sign that I'm diseased, but a more definite way to detect that I'm diseased. Yes. So if I had to give you sugar candy, and I have to give you the Hare Krishna mantra, which one's sweeter? If you take both with your tongue, which one will be sweeter? Sugar candy. Which one's supposed to be sweeter? The holy name. So something's wrong. Right? The sugar candy is tasting sweeter than Hare Krishna mantra. Why? Because the tongue is more material diseased. The tongue is more diseased. And because the tongue is more diseased, or the tongue is more materially impacted, therefore those substances which are material taste sweeter. Just like somebody who's more materially diseased in his consciousness, gossip is more relishable, than talking about Krishna. If you go to work and tell your friends, let's speak about God. What? Where you came from? But if the devotees have the same consciousness, that means they are diseased. So that's another way to see. Am I really relishing? Now for us, this is theoretical. We cannot, we don't have the experience of what the holy name tastes like. But if you continue taking the medication and become purified, you will get the realization as you're tasting the holy name more and more and more. One devotee, she told one of Prabhupada's disciples that actually Rupa Goswami was not lying when he said, when he chants the holy name of Krishna, he needs hundreds of millions of ears and hundreds and millions of tongues because it's so relishable. So it's not a literal statement or figurative statement. It's actually true. But we can look forward to the healthy state of spiritual life that I want to practice the process to the extent that I become purified so that I can relish the holy name of Krishna. One begins his treatment by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, because by chanting this holy name of the Lord, a person until condition will be relieved from all misconceptions. Avidya, a misconception about one's spiritual identity, provides the foundation for ahankar, or false ego within the heart. Remember this hiker thinking I'm great. That's the foundation of false ego. I'm okay. I don't need Krishna. It's not, there's problems in the material world, but it's on the other side of the planet, not the side. Right? Or I'm safe and it's my neighbor's problem, not mine. So like that, we justify in different ways. But no matter where we are in the material world, it is dangerous. Whether we're in the highest planet, Brahmaloka, or lowest planet, it's a planet where there's birth, death, disease, and old age. And it's not a proper place for a devotee. The real disease is in the heart. If the mind is cleansed, however, if the consciousness is cleansed, a person cannot be harmed by material disease. To cleanse the mind and the heart from all misconceptions, one should take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is both easy and beneficial. By chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately freed from the blazing fire of material existence. There is no other process that can cleanse the mind and the heart. Now, what do we generally find in the heart and in the mind that causes this bondage to the material world? Material lusty desires. Okay, so it's the desires that we have in the mind, in the heart, that binds us to the material world. And we need to purify those desires. Now, generally, we heard in text 1, the example was given by Prabhupada quotes the example from Bhagavatam given by Maj Parikshit to Sukadev Goswami in relation to desires. Anyone can remember? The elephant. So the elephant goes and bathes, then comes out and throws dirt on its body. So Sukadev Goswami asked the question, what's the use of the elephant bathing then? If the elephant's going to throw dirt on its body again after bathing, what's the use of bathing? Similarly, none of our desires can be destroyed. They can be trimmed, they can be cut, but the root can never be destroyed. The root can only be destroyed by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, by devotional practice. No other practice can destroy the desires at the root. That's why you can practice austerity, you can practice fasting, people can do different rituals, people can do so many things in the material sphere. And no matter what ritual they do, no matter what culture they follow, it's impossible for them to come out of this material disease because the desires are still there. The desires have to become purified. And the beauty of the Hare Krishna mantra is that because it is absolute, it is non-different from Krishna, then Krishna, in the form of the Hare Krishna mantra, can cleanse all the contamination in one's heart. And that's another way you can gauge whether this chanting is mass hysteria, right? It's brainwashing everyone, or it's actually true. I don't know how many of you have the experience that before you became a devotee, or even while you were a devotee, you had certain very clear, very graphic, confirmed material desires that you're aware of. And that may have been very, very strong, extremely strong. And over time, chanting, some of them, were quick, disappeared in a few months, others maybe a few years. But you could clearly identify that I had this problem, I had this issue, I had this weakness. Now it's like not there, it's gone. Any of you had that experience? Yeah. To some degree, we all have that experience we can identify. If not, you have to start becoming more aware. Make a list of all your issues. It's like I have an anger issue. I'm attached to TV program. I have this bad habit. This irritates me. I have this disease. I have this addiction. So in this way, you make a conscious list, or you write it down. Don't need to show everybody. Just write it down for yourself. And then after, if you're chanting with care and attention, as Prabhupada is describing, then you evaluate after a few years and you'll find that those desires have either become weakened or disappeared. And there is no material desire, no matter what it is or how strong it is, that cannot be overcome by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Because the Hare Krishna mantra is Krishna. And who can overcome Krishna? No one. Therefore, no material desires can counteract, can fight the effect of chanting Hare Krishna. If you say, no, Prabhu, I'm so fallen, I got this bad habit, even if I chant for hundreds of years, I can't get purified, guess what's going to happen? You'll get purified, but you will not be purified of those desires because you don't have faith. You're actually minimizing. That's why Prabhupada started off this purport by saying the holy name, pastimes, and Krishna is or are absolute. So they have the full power, potency of Krishna, of Radha and Krishna. And nothing can counteract them, nothing can overpower them. So if you say that I'm so sinful that I can never be purified, what you implying? That your sinful desires are absolute, are more powerful than Radha and Krishna. And with that understanding, it is an offense to the holy name. One of the offenses is the fifth one, to give some mundane interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. So now you basically gave your own interpretation, the Hare Krishna mantra. And therefore, it's an offense and you're not going to get the desired results. So this is what really happens. Our conscience becomes purified, our heart becomes purified. If you're chanting and somehow your addiction is increasing, becoming more sinful, you're watching one movie, now you're watching 10 movies, then you have to reassess something's wrong in your practice. Because it's impossible for somebody to chant with care and attention according to prescription given by Prabhupada and not have the 5 material desires reduce. It's either you are becoming more offensive or you have a wrong understanding of practice. You're doing something that's not correct. It's like I have a disease. So let's say, for example, I have jaundice, right? And I'm taking the medication. And after 2 weeks, nothing's happening. I go to the doctor and says, this medication not working. What's your problem? I want a refund. What will the doctor ask? Have you taken it according to... Right. I took it according to your prescription 3 times a day before meals every day. He's going to say, what you eating? But, well, I love oil and I have fried chips. What can I do? So, what the doctor is going to tell you? Your life is going to be fried if you eat fried chips and you got jaundice. You're not going to get cured. And you can imagine, right? Mother is sitting opposite me. And she's got a full meal like, and I'm sitting this side with boiled potato, right? And only salt. That's all. Not one day. Not for breakfast only. Breakfast, lunch, and supper. Every day until the disease is gone. And sometimes it can take 2 months, 3 months. Can take as long as it wants. Right? Purpose, eating fruit, purpose. So, it's austere, but it's like you can imagine if I'm sitting there and thinking, oh yeah, but I can't eat that, I'm basically causing suffering for myself. Right? And mentally I'm becoming more ill. So I accept, okay, I got this disease, full stop. Right now I have to take this diet, full stop. So you accept that you're diseased. Don't wallow and lament you're diseased. Yeah, what to do in the material world? I shouldn't have left Krishna. Now you keep going into this wallowing mentality. No, we are here. Understand now, rectify the situation and do something about it. And when you do that, you'll be more enthused. Because now at least we're on the right path of coming out. It's like this hiker who lost her way. Now she's back onto the hiking trail. She can see the trail now. Now she's happy and back on track. So like that, we have the guides, and we have expert guides like Srila Prabhupada and Srila Goswami. Then Srila Prabhupada in the purport now begins to describe this aspect of 3 stages in chanting. So we in the material world of darkness, as we start to chant, we move towards dawn. So between darkness and dawn is the offensive stage, Nama Prarat. when you meet a new friend and you preach to a new friend, generally you tell a new friend to start chanting. So when a new friend starts to chant, how will they chant? Yeah, they'll chant with offenses. Will they chant in front of the TV? While driving? While seeing their phone messages? While shopping? Yeah, you told them to chant, right? So they'll chant Hare Krishna. And do they know the 10 offenses? No. So you don't tell them the 10 offenses. Therefore, everyone starts in the stage. Number offensive stage. We're chanting with some form of offense.
Is it better than not chanting?
Correct. 100%. It's definitely better than not chanting. Any form of contact with Krishna is better than no contact with Krishna. Even if the person jokingly chants, or even if he mockingly chants, or even if he indirectly chants, just like we give the example, the secretary that's working, receptionist that's working at Rama Majarin, she's extremely fortunate. Because every single day, Rama Majarin can help you. Rama Majarin can help you. Rama Majarin can help. She's chanting the Lord Ram. Exactly. Yeah, that's why, in one sense, the country is, it's still a mess, but they're getting blessings every time the politician's name is coming into the newspaper or TV, because his name is Ram. Rama is there. People get the benefit. So, you can imagine, we may be, the country may be so sinful, therefore just chanting 1 or 2 times may not see their full effect, but the effect is felt, the effect is there. Okay, so yes, in any form, if somebody contacts, Prabhupada, even one time there was a bad article in the newspaper, and they showed Srila Prabhupada this bad article. Prabhupada said, very good. See, Krishna's name is there. The Hare Krishna movement, blah, 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 blah. Very good. Because they're reading, right, the negative news, but they have to read Krishna's name. Very good. Auspicious. Because that one name can destroy millions of sins that one have committed. So it can purify one's life tremendously. But it's definitely benefit. But if you keep chanting with offenses, you're never going, you can get purified, right? But you may not be able to get liberated completely of your sins. And you definitely will not get love of Krishna. So if somebody's chanting with offenses, there is absolutely no question of him being in love of Krishna. You can only get love when you're chanting pure names. So just in relation to that, Prabhupada started off saying that the holy name, Krishna's pastimes, activities, paraphernalia, absolute. The holy name is the only medication for our purification. So, and then Prabhupada also said our relationship, our service is that of, what is our occupation? What's your job profile? To be a servant of Krishna. So that's our profile, that we meant to be servants of Krishna. So I meant to connect with Krishna, I meant to have a relationship with Krishna. But I cannot have that relationship directly with Krishna. Reason is I am envious of Krishna. So Krishna indirectly appears in our life through the holy name of Krishna, through his name. And it's easier to take the name, just like sometimes you may hate a person. If you see the person, your blood boils. Right? But if somebody spoke to you about the person, it may not boil as much as if you see the person. Or it may, it's like, I don't like him. But if you see him, it becomes, you become more grieved. Similarly, by seeing Krishna, we would become more impacted and affected than if we come in contact with his holy name. And when you chant, Krishna enters into your ears and travels to your heart, to where the mind and heart is situated to become purified. So that's how Krishna, very wonderfully enters into your personality, your being, to purify your diseases, purify the disease, purify your consciousness. So really our secret, our goal is that we want to develop a very strong, healthy relationship with Krishna in the form of the name. And as Bhagavad Gita says, Suridam Sarvaputanam, Krishna is our best friend. So therefore, we really want to make the holy name our best friend. By making the holy name our best friend, we have an eternal friend that will be with us, that will save us, purify us, and reveal to us everything we need. So the holy name will reveal itself. And when the holy name reveals itself and you have to read this purport, it'll be like, wow, this is true, this is true, this is true. What Prabhupada said is here, it's true. Because now there's revelation. The holy name will reveal your identity, it will reveal Krishna's identity, Krishna's service, or your service to Krishna. Everything we reveal by the holy name. So really the secret is to become attached to the holy name. But we can become attached if we chant without offenses. Therefore, we have to come to the clearing stage, the middle stage. Understand the 10 offenses, and most importantly, chant attentively. Therefore, Prabhupada says with care and attention. And that means I want to have specific time where I chant. I don't want any interference when I'm chanting. I don't want any disturbance when I'm chanting. I simply want to chant and hear. And from that, as you're practicing, become more purified, then beginning of the sun rays, you'll come to Sudanam chanting purely, and then the full manifestation of the Son of Love of God will manifest. So as we're in the material world, and slowly by chanting now, we're seeing some glimpse of light. Dawn is breaking, the light's coming. Then we see the rays, and finally we see the sun. So it's progressive. And this may take one moment, it may take many years, and it may take millions of lifetimes. All depends on us. Right? Just like, how long will it take me to walk from this side to that side of the room? Give minutes, few seconds. Say 20 seconds, 10 seconds, 8 seconds.
No, it depends if you take.
Okay, watch. Seconds, right? 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. How long can it take me? It can take me forever to get on this side. I could come close, but not that close. And I could never possibly reach it if I just go out. Okay? We assume I'm going to go straight and not back, but that's an assumption. So similarly, we assume that those who chant will chant without offenses and chant nicely. But the nature of the mind, like the monkey, or a naughty child, and the mind will cause disturbance. The mind will distract you. The mind's nature is like that. All of you chanting, all of a sudden something that you saw yesterday pops out in your mind. Something you read in your phone comes up. Some stupid thing appears that it just jump come from. That's the nature of the mind. Chanchalam. And it's very difficult to control the mind. But by chanting slowly, that even the mind can be trained. Okay, so Prabhupada talks about these 3 stages. We want to understand Namaparad is not the best place when it comes to Namabas, and from there take shelter of the holy name, and then we come to pure chanting. So counteracting Namaparad in Srimad Bhagavatam purport Prabhupada makes a very wonderful point here. There is no way to atone for any of these offenses. So you can't atone for Namaparad. Offenses to the holy name, if you commit the 10 offenses, you can't atone for them. There's no atonement. It's like if I chant inattentively, I'm causing offense to the holy name. There's no atonement. Okay, now I'm gonna, fast today, and I'll get redeemed from Namaparad. No, there's no atonement. It is therefore recommended that an offender at the feet of the holy name continue to chant the holy name 24 hours a day. That's the atonement. If you're chanting inattentively, causing Namaparad, chant 24 hours a day. Constant chanting of the holy name will make one free from offenses, and then he will gradually be elevated to the transcendental platform on which he can chant the pure holy name and thus become a lover of the Supreme Personality of God. That's the objective. We are chanting to become lovers of Krishna. Now, are we becoming lovers of Krishna? No. You're already lovers of Krishna. You don't become lovers of Krishna. You're already a lover of Krishna, but you have forgotten that relationship. And because you've forgotten that relationship, now you basically have to awaken that relationship, revive that relationship. Like you go to rest in the evening, right? So you take rest. Now, when you're resting, you forget who you are and you take on another identity in your dreams. Let's say you become so obsessed with the way the country is going, and you think I'm going to become the president. Now all of a sudden in your dreams you become the president. Now you're the president of the country. So are you the president of the country? No. Okay, but can you remember your true identity? No. But as soon as you wake up in the morning, the alarm goes on, rings a few times, then you wake up, and then you realize, oh, I'm not the president of the country. I'm so and so, and I have to start. Okay, I need to, I'm, this person. I got this identity. I got a family. I got a job. I need to, and then you come into that role and you start. So, like that, we have an eternal relationship and role in the spiritual world. It's covered, forgotten, and we're sleeping. Right now, we're sleepwalking. So, even though I'm working, walking, doing things, but actually spiritually I'm fast asleep, maybe snoring. And this is a dream, even though it's not a fictitious dream in the sense that it's real, not illusion. But when I chant, the holy name is now going, it's like an alarm clock. And just as an alarm clock, if it rings immediately, you may not wake up. You need a few times for it to ring. Similarly, chanting regularly helps to penetrate and awaken the soul. And it may take a while, but this is what happens. And when that happens, slowly that love begins to get revived. We attract, by our chanting, by our purity, we attract the devotional energy, Radharani. And when she manifests, she triggers, she ignites the devotion in your heart. And that devotion then attracts Krishna. And when Krishna comes, he's like the sun. Maya dissipates. So this is the process. It's really about us connecting again with Krishna. One should be very humble and meek to offer one's desires and chant prayers composed in glorification of our holy name, such as Ari Mukta Kule Upasya Manam and Nivrita Tase Upagiyaman Manat. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.4. One should chant such prayers to become free from offenses at the lotus feet of the holy name. So these are the prayers. This is given by Srila Rupa Goswami. O Harinam, the tips of the toes of your lotus feet are constantly being worshipped by the glowing radiance emanating from the strings of gems known as the Upanishads, the crown jewel of all the Vedas. You are eternally adored by liberated souls such as Narad and Sukadev. O Harinam, I take complete shelter of you. And Srimad Bhagavatam 10.1.4, glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parapara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in false temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. The descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditions so undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So in the conclusion, Prabhupada then says, the conclusion is that in order to get freed from the material disease, one must take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Krishna conscious movement is especially meant for creating an atmosphere in which people can take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. One must begin with faith, and when this faith is increased by chanting, a person can become a member of the society. Here, Prabhupada made a very nice point about membership of the society. It's not that you're just chanting, you got a weed bag, you're chanting, now you're a member. No. When you have faith, and that faith increases by the chanting at a certain level, then you become a member. So here Prabhupada is defining membership as faithful followers who have faith in the chanting, not just anyone who's chanting. All right. Yes. You can aspire and be faithful. Now, Prabhupada talks about, now Prabhupada goes into talking about devotional practice. Okay, so now we have the disease. If you chant, chanting itself is the practice of devotional service. What happens when you start practicing? Now Prabhupada is going to talk about the different stages, 9 stages, specifically Bhajana Kriya, and we can now see, am I making advancement? If one is sincere, he is initiated, and this stage is called Bhajana Kriya. Okay, which means one commits that yes, I'm a servant of Krishna. I need to return back to the service of Krishna, and I need to commit myself to this process of chanting. So you commit yourself. Once you commit yourself, you're following. One then actually engages in the service of the Lord by regularly chanting the Hare Krishna mantra 16 rounds daily, and refrains from illicit sex, intoxication, weed eating, and gambling. By Bhajana Kriya, one attains freedom from the contamination of materialistic life. He no longer goes to a restaurant or a hotel to taste so-called palatable dishes made with meat and onions, nor does he care to smoke or drink tea or coffee. He not only refrains from illicit sex, but avoids sex entirely, nor is interested in wasting his time in speculating or gambling. So very clear, Prabhupada is making very clear. You know, very often when neophyte devotees or beginning devotees come across this, really? But so now they start justifying, but what if, you start making excuses, but okay, or it's okay. Prabhupada is very clear. There's no like, okay, maybe it's an exception. No. Because if you're attached to something and you're justifying that, Prabhupada said you're attached to one sun ray, you may have to come back. Now, if you're attached to things, can you go back to the spiritual world? Yes, you can. Let's say you die and you're extremely attached to something, but you're extremely sincere and you've sincerely practiced Krishna consciousness all your life, according to scripture, according to the acharyas, but you're extremely attached to half a dozen things. Can Krishna decide to remove those attachments and take you back to Godhead? Yeah. Lord Nityananda is Krishna. Balaram. So Lord Nityananda, Balaram, Krishna, Prabhupada, Lord Nrsimhadev, can they remove these attachments and take you back home? Yes.
Example of the king entering the prison, he has the ability to enter.
Yeah, king can come and he can say, okay, very nice prisoner, remove the sentence, nullify the sentence. Okay? You're meant to be in prison for life? Okay, free. So the king has that. But we, generally we should not cross our fingers and hope for that. Okay, I don't need to worry about my attachments. I can keep eating whatever nonsense I want to eat. And I just cross my fingers that when Krishna, at time of death, please help me. Pick up a white flag and flags. No. We should sincerely try to avoid, like this, the third or fourth verse where it says, accepting favorable and rejecting unfavorable. So that's how we should live our life. We should live our life in a way that anything that is favorable, accept for Krishna. Anything unfavorable, reject. And in that way, sincerely do as much as I can and leave the rest up to Krishna. And then however Krishna wants to deal with us, we're happy. But don't justify. In this way, it is to be understood that one is becoming cleansed of unwanted things, anartha and vritti. The word anartha refers to unwanted things. Anartha are vanquished when one becomes attached to Krishna conscious movement. When a person is relieved from unwanted things, he becomes fixed in executing his Krishna activities. Indeed, he becomes attached to such activities and experiences ecstasy in executing devotional service. So in the beginning, we don't have a taste for that service. We don't relish that. It's not experiencing bliss. We cooking and we're cutting vegetables and we tears are rolling from our eyes and we're in ecstasy and hair our hair is standing on end because we goosebumps and we're going in ecstasy. It may be a little austere and you may have to push yourself in the beginning, just like the person who's taking sugar candy. It's bitter, and who likes bitter medication? No one. People don't like bitter melon, Karela, juice, because it's bitter. Okay, sweet is what people are attracted to. So devotional practice is sweet, but because of the jaundice, we don't want to take it, but we have to force it in the beginning. That force is applied with our intelligence or with the spiritual master's intelligence. That no, you should do it. So we're applying ourselves with the understanding that yes, this is beneficial for me because I need to get out of the material world. I need to develop my love for Krishna. I need to go back to the spiritual world. That's where I belong. And so let me apply myself in this way. Thus the conditioned soul becomes free from material existence, loses interest in bodily concept of life, including material opulence, material knowledge, material attraction of all variety. At such time, one can understand who the Supreme Personality of Godhead is and what is Maya is. All right, so now concluding slides. There's a very wonderful verse quoted in Chaitanya Shiksham by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur from the Agni Purana. I won't read the Sanskrit, but it says, you'll see it's na nama shadram janam na nama shadram pratam. So all the verse, all the statements starts with na nama. There is no knowledge, vrata, meditation, fruit, renunciation, sense control, pious act, or goal as great as that of Nam. Nam is the supreme liberation. Nam is the supreme destination. Nam is the supreme peace. Nam is the supreme auspicious situation. Nam is the supreme devotion. Nam is supreme intelligence. Nam is supreme love. Nam is supreme remembrance. Nam is the sole reason for existence. Nam is the Lord of the soul. Nam is the most worshipful object. Nam is the supreme goal. And there are many verses like that. The holy name is everything. It's the purest. Nothing is more pure. Nothing is more auspicious. Nothing is more glorious. So we really want to convince ourselves and become attached to the holy name. If you become attached to the holy name, your life is successful. Any questions or comments on those points? So the more we chant, just like sugar candy, the more you take it, the more your jaundice goes away. And you have to keep taking the sugar candy until your jaundice is gone. When your jaundice is gone, what do you take? What do you do with sugar candy? You still eat it. But this time you eat it because it tastes nice. Right? Similarly, the holy name, you have to take it because we are jaundiced. And it's bitter. But we keep taking it, taking, our disease becomes cured, the rest, the holy name becomes relishable. Eventually, the holy name is so relishable that you cannot stop chanting. So right now we're chanting and it's a little, distasteful. It's like I have to force myself to chant. Right? But the more I do it, eventually I become purified, pure. Then when I chant, I can't stop chanting because then I'm relishing the taste. And so this verse is very, very important. We should keep it in our mind. And this example of the jaundice, we should accept I'm jaundice. I'm going to take shelter of the holy name. And in every situation, we want to become attached. So yes, we're chanting our japa, which is very important. That's why Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds. Not 16 and finished. 16 plus rounds. So I want to chant 16 plus, and then throughout the day, throughout the night, I want to try to remember the chanting. I'm trying to remember the holy name. Because I want to become attached to Krishna, therefore I need to remember Krishna. It's like you fall in love with someone. So you fall in love with someone. Especially if somebody is new, right? New couples, they fall in love. You've been long with some people, it's like people get married and they slowly they start to fight. They don't think about each other, right? But generally, new couples, when they get attached to each other, then it's like they cannot stop thinking about each other the whole day. They lose attention and focus in the other activities. Because whole night, day, they're thinking about the person. So like that, we want to think of Krishna constantly and remind ourselves to think of Krishna. I've also sent all of you on the WhatsApp group. And you'll find there are 2 documents that I've sent you all. The first one is Let's Rise Above Anishtita Nam Bhajan. That means we have to fix ourselves in the devotional practice. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives us some very nice points how to stay fixed in our devotional practice, which you can read, 21 different points, which you can read on your own. And there's another document which we also uploaded on the WhatsApp group. And that's this diagram from Shraddha to Prem. And you'll find in this diagram, the different stages, 9 different stages are there, description of each of that stage, and then different anarthas, unwanted things, sinful desires, material desires, etc., and offenses are reduced, eliminated, destroyed, burnt up at different stages of the 9 devotional practices. As you're practicing devotional service, depending on the type of offense or anartha, it gets removed gradually as one practices devotional service. And so they may still linger on at certain stages, but eventually when you completely surrender, at the stage of prema, you find then everything is complete and absolute, totally purified. Question?
I read somewhere, I don't know if it's true, you can talk about this, read that yawning is a process of getting rid of your anarthas.
Definitely not. So yawning, according to scripture, is when you're influenced by a specific demon in charge of yawning. Okay, so when you yawn, you actually get influence. Now, from a medical perspective, it's air coming into your body. Right? From a subtle perspective, it's a specific demonic tendency or subtle body, right? That gets impacts you when you yawn specifically. And that's why generally when you yawn, right, the culture is what? Put your hand in front when you yawn. Now, what you said?
Other people also do it.
Others do it at the same time. Why? If you don't put your hand in front, you're exposing that demonic subtle body to others, and that's why they also start yawning. Really? Okay. So that's in terms of yawning, but it's definitely not any devotional practice or purifying process for yawning. If you yawn, you're not going to get purified. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, maybe, but no, that is the holy name. Any other questions? Okay, so we shall stop there, and next week we will do text 8, which is also part of this 2 sets of verses. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Did you bring knife and everything to serve? Okay, very good. So today is Vivek's birthday, and we're going to sing for him.